Oh, cam only. Hi. Wow. That's a good shot of the room, huh? Got the Cadence plushie back there. The Darkest Dungeon mug. We got a Twitch notebook. My my H6. Oh. We got the sound reinforcement handbook written for Yamaha. This thing is legit. Let me read a random page for you, a random passage. Let's see here. Here's a section entitled Common Methods of Acoustic Transduction. It's like very much an indication of how much you can branch in audio and still be working in the field. Oh, you know what I realized? Give me a second. I'm going to risk breaking NDA here. One second. Let's see. And be right back. We're going to make sure I don't break any NDAs and ruin some contracts. 1 second. There's things open behind the scenes that should not be open behind the scenes. Okay. Oh my god. This is a rough start. Oh, Billy, Often, William Palmer. And Aaron Bowers Audio. I still haven't looked at your stuff, man. I actually realized that before the stream, and I was like, I'm going to just open on a stream, if you don't mind. If you prefer not to have it open on stream, that's fine too. Just let me know. And Galen. Hey, buddy. Red Galen. Yo. Yeah, you recognize that mug back there, right? NVK Delegger. Yo. Sushi. Welcome on in, everyone. Again, apologies. I feel really bad for being so late this week. But, ooh. I'm just getting Titan stuff done. And time slips away. And FM84 seemed like the obvious choice given the apparel. Right? Pretty sick. Right? Look at this thing. Oh yeah. I like it. So, not a whole lot to talk about pre-stream this week. I think we're just like pre-meat of the stream this week. Let me just think, as I usually have these things prepared. I was not prepared at all this week. No, I think we can probably just dive in. I've just been doing stuff in Titan. It sounded pretty cool. I got in like the building selection sounds and stuff today. It sounds pretty sweet. I'm happy. Let's just jump into perhaps this one, yeah? Aaron Bowers. Holy, let's go. Okay. And sorry. Cole? I want to say Cole. I think his name's Cole. Okay, over here. So today, we got primarily Victor Sequeira? Sequeira? I'm not sure how to say this name. I think currently in Vancouver, actually. I'm not positive on that. Perhaps the about will clear that up. And zoomed in? Zoomed in, not at all. There you go. Now it's zoomed in. And we got a Frost fatality from Aaron Bowers. Aaron actually posted a long Medium article, which I forwarded to Stephen Shapler, who is senior sound design at NetherRealm on Mortal Kombat 11. It's pretty cool. Death by Frosty the Snow. Get out of here. Frosty the Snow Lass. And Aaron, look at the size of this scroll bar. It's tiny. This is a long article. Holy, it's long. I read it. I did. It's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, it's like definitely a ton of information. Like, you went way in depth. I don't know if that's really a bad thing. Like, it's probably fine, honestly. It's just showing your thoughtfulness towards this stuff, like, can't really be a bad thing, you know? Yeah, it's just like really in depth. This is the kind of thing that if it were to be for example, like a commentated video you were doing, like, of course I wouldn't include all this information. It's just like so much, right? Trim it down to the meat. But as an article, like, sure, because you can skip through it and whatever. And you even said, like, here's the gist. And you kind of made it an easy read in that respect. So cool. Good for you. Was posted in the Blip Sounds Discord. Sweet. I didn't see it there. I'm in there kind of here and there, but I haven't been there in like the last week. Battery Staple Games. A shirt almost as handsome as that beard. It's hiding behind a pop filter right now, but thank you. How you doing, Alex? I regret that oh, that's some news. GDC was canceled. Oh, I'm not laughing because I'm happy it happened. I'm laughing because I forgot that very important thing that happened last week. Oh, I'm disappointed, of course, but I mean, it was gonna happen. I mean, like, I think 6 of the 9 Diamond sponsors had dropped out. It was looking pretty dire. And just the responsible thing to do right now, as far as the world state of things, makes sense, right? And I know a lot of folks are still going to San Fran because they have unrefundable tickets in their flights or their hotels or whatever. I think we got like our flight credited or something like that, or I can't recall. Jeff handled that. Like my co-founder Jeff dealt with all that stuff. Lots of back and forth phone calls and arguing with people to get our money kind of at least in a better place. Game audio karaoke. I mean, yeah, man, there's so many people in game audio. I mean, it's apart from like our clients and friends and such that I wanted to see from a business standpoint. I mean, yeah, there's people like Bjorn Jacobson. I've still never met in person. He's like white noise trash in the chat if he shows up today. And he's like been a guest host on Real Talk. He did like a talk on my game Phonopath at this conference in Denmark years back. He was audio director at or audio lead. I think he was director at CD Projekt Red for a while. Like, solid dude. Just never met him, and he's going to be there. And now I'm not going to meet him again. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. But oh well. It does give me more time to do production, which I will take right now because things are trucking along. And also, my Celeste talk isn't going to happen anymore either. I had a talk for GDC scheduled about supporting and driving narrative in Celeste through audio. And unfortunately, not a thing, sadly. So I'm so busy right now. Like, I'm still moving to my new place. So it's hard to say if I will do like a video stream for GDC's thing. I kind of have mixed feelings on that. Like, the idea of still doing the talk for GDC, even though it's not happening, and then having them put it up for free on YouTube. Because part of me, in the spirit of like mentorship and education and such, and like industry support, I like the idea, but I kind of also like the idea of a GDC talk being something of an exchange. Like, I'm going to GDC and doing a thing, and I get a past GDC, and like I get, the people in the room that I can speak to afterwards, and vice versa. They get me in the room, they can talk to me. It's like a lot of back and forth. Like, it's a very mutual kind of concept, whereas me just like doing some video thing and putting it online is like just feels kind of a bit shortchanging as far as the benefits that could, arise from doing like in a face-to-face kind of arena instead. So I don't know. Well, I'll think about it. I'm curious to think or to know what you find folks think about that, because I'm keen to do like a stream or something maybe, or just like talk about stuff like that. But I don't know. It still feels like I could just hold off and do it at some other event. But yeah. Anyway, okay, so yeah, GDC was canceled, and now we're back in real talk. So Aaron Bowers did a thing, and good for you, dude. I read through it. I was like in a pub, I think. Is that where I was, man? In a restaurant? Excuse me. So I wasn't able to actually listen to anything. And I actually still haven't. Oh no, I listened to it once. And I was like, do you want feedback? And I promptly got pulled away. Aaron, I'm sorry about that. He's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, Kevin has left the chat. Sorry, man. Yeah, so this is Real Talk. Before we dive into it, Real Talk is a weekly live stream that we do here at Power Up Audio. My name is Kevin Regami. I am creative director and co-founder at Power Up, and we have been in the game for about 7 and a bit years. I've been doing game audio for about 10 years, and I've shipped several hundred things in terms of me being involved in some capacity of some kind. And this stream is all about giving some feedback to people who are looking to get some more traction in their own careers in terms of game audio. So those might be people who are fresh out of school. It might be people who are, just changing industries from like film to games. It can be any variety of folks. We're happy to give feedback, and we do it from the perspective of kind of playing the role of the person or team, studio, whatever that you may have submitted your application to. So you receive your demo material and say, okay, cool, here's what you think. Because it's really hard to get, it's hard often to get a studio to give you feedback like that, to say, hey, what do you think? So we're looking at these things down here. We're looking at presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. For presentation, looking at the website on the whole, we have a website here. We looked at Aaron Bowers' stuff, his actual website, some time ago. This one, AaronBowersAudio.com. Looked at Aaron's stuff maybe 4 weeks ago? I don't know, a little while back. And it was cool. It's a good one. So we're looking at the website and saying, what is the gist? How does the navigation look? Is the important information present? Is there too much information? That kind of thing. We look at the reel itself, which seems to be right here for Victor. And we say, how's the flow? And how's the info on that thing? And is it bookended? Do you have your contact info? Is there titling, etc.? For material selection, we say, what does the content of your reel suggest about your past work history, your current skill sets, and your future ambitions? If that's not clear, and we've had some that we have no idea what they want to do, and that's not usually a good look. If it's not clear, we'll try and, hopefully you'll be here and we can ask you about that. By the way, I think Victor can't be here, if I recall from our brief messaging back and forth. I think it's pretty late where he is right now, so he can't tune in, but I will still be speaking to you, Victor, as if you are here. So when you watch the VOD, we'll have a little communique, Okay, so content quality, simply, is it good? Is it at the level, the industry standard of awesome that is always, hopefully always increasing, always evolving? And if it's not, I will let you know what I think as far as what can be improved. And for distinction, are you standing out in some respect? And Aaron, with his big, long, medium article, is a good example of standing out in some respect, because who does this? Not very many people. It's pretty cool. I like Aaron's stuff because I think that he's got a lot of room to improve in terms of his actual craft, but he's got so much going for him in terms of like how you approach the stuff, man. I'm speaking like you're not even here. I'm sorry, Aaron. I like what you got going for you because you're doing stuff that not everyone does, like the flow of your reel. You think about storytelling. It's a very good look, and it's a good look for hiring too, because if you're looking to get a job at a place like NetherRealm, for example, who did Mortal Kombat 11, if you're showing that you like have the chops to learn on your own and you're passionate and you're doing stuff beyond just sound, et cetera, those are all very good kind of footholds to have as far as the path to convince people to hire you. And if your craft is like the one thing that's lacking, whatever, man. Like you're not going to be doing the final mix anyways. It's certainly a positive thing to kick butt and sound amazing, but it can be taught. It's like the one thing of basically everything that people are looking for in a demo reel or an application of some kind, that can be improved, like, you know, in terms of training. I can't train you to care about the work, and I can't train you to want to do stuff beyond just sound or whatever, right? But I can absolutely train you how to like make a explosion sound like clearer or something. So okay, let's go ahead and jump into it. Yes, so we have two things. We got Death by Frosty the Snowlass, Aaron Bowers, this redesign, and we have Victor's complete reel. So we'll jump into this in a second. We'll just do this first. All right, shall we? Good to go, everyone? Let's go. Let's press play. And by the way, the reason Aaron did this and why we're looking at it now, separate from his content some weeks back. Also, that's a good look too, man. You're still working on stuff. You're like, here's my update. Here's what I've been doing. That's a good look. So the reason he did this is because I gave him some feedback, and perhaps some others too, I'm not sure. But I, perhaps among others, gave feedback that his current content weeks ago was perhaps sleepy, and there wasn't much in terms of like action-packed or like more active design. So he did this to kind of contrast against his other work, or just grow as a designer, right? So let's have a look. I'm turning my audio back up, turn my sidechain off, and let's go. Cool. I've been listening to some D&B mixes, by the way, if it wasn't obvious. Let's go. Thanks, buddy. So, Aaron, what do you think of that? I'm curious. Having had it played in front of these 25 people-ish, how do you feel about this design? Because oftentimes, it's a good practice, actually, if you're doing something creative, regardless of what it is, just invite someone into the room to have a look. And just that person being there can often shift your own perspective on the work. Oftentimes, without them even giving any feedback. It can be my mom. Like, what's my mom know about audio? Not much. But she's just there. It often kind of, it's this like psychological thing where it forces to the forefront of your attention. Like the thing that you've always known was weak, and you keep ignoring it. You're like, oh, I gotta change that thing, man. Like you just sort of have to address this. So I'm curious if you're stoked, Aaron, or if you are, if you're still things you're like, I had a hard time with this thing, therefore I still feel like weak about it. But I'm curious. But I'll go ahead and press play again. We'll dive in. So right away, that first second being silent is kind of unfortunate. Because you have this awesome intro, and it's very branded, which we've been over. That's great. I love it. And then we have this thing happening, and it fades in, and there's just immediately nothing. And being a sound reel, I mean, the ambience note, we always talk about ambience. If you're doing this kind of redesign, I know you're focusing on the content of the action, but I think it's still worth it to design the entire clip, like design the backgrounds and stuff. Just put something there as a floor. And the thing is, there's still movement here, you know? Like, you might still hear this. Like that little, like, Foley-wise. Okay, A Bowers Audio says, I think it doesn't sit in the right space. Sit right in the space. The design is too dry to seem like it belongs in the room. I would agree with that. I was too subtle with the reverb for one. Yeah, it's a combination of things, man. Sitting in the room is one thing. I think that there's also something of an absence of like connective tissue between the various elements that are happening in the story points. There's like this, then this, then this, then this. But it's like there's here and then here and then here and then here. And it's not like whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, it's just segregated like that. So I'll give you a pretty good example right here, like the grab and rip, I think it happens. Apologies for how graphic this is, by the way. It's Mortal Kombat. What are you gonna do? So right there, that grab it, pull it out. Like there's actually silence there. From like when you get up to the top, there's nothing in between. So that's the connective kind of sinewy, perfect terminology for this kind of design. Like the sinewy connective tissue between like the story points. The rip certainly should be larger, but we shouldn't drop to silence here. There's definitely like ice debris and gore and stuff happening in the middle. You know? And your reverb is an option, yes. Though I would be careful about leaning on reverb as that connective tissue. It's also a very, very common kind of misstep, or I guess like it's a dangerous hurdle to that some dangerous hurdle. It's like a hurdle that some people don't ever overcome. They'll like, I guess a pitfall is what I'm looking for. It's a pitfall in that it's too easy to be like, oh, like throw some verb on it, like, oh, it sounds so rich and full now, and it's but it's not like it's not. It's like filling the ambient space, and it's like doing the job of like giving the dimension aspect to the mix, but it's not helping the story like necessarily. So for example, if you like filled this with reverb here, it would like fill the space between those events, but it wouldn't do the job of like, you know, telling the story of this ice debris falling away. And Alex Barnard, you're like your 40,000 likes tweet, is that the one? All your ice recordings? Yeah, we talked a bit about panning last week too. I think there's some attention to panning in this, but there is some absence of attention as well. There's, for example, this drone coming down and grabbing the brain. It sounds pretty this. Even though, I mean, is it from all around us? Am I just missing something? It seems like it's just this drone, isn't it? That sound? I think that layer in there is fine, but it's so stereo that it has the effect you were kind of talking about, Aaron, in terms of like it detracts even a word from the idea of this thing being in this space, because we're hearing it not where we're seeing it. We're hearing it like left and right, like it's all around us, but it's there, it's right in front of us, right? So yeah, pretty important. You can have like things can have stereo fields, but if this is your full sound, like your first full stereo field, left to right, like hard left, hard right, you can put like a thing with a stereo field like in the mix somewhere, right? Like that, you can kind of place it. It doesn't need to be a mono source. It can be a smaller stereo field. And oftentimes, like this is a good example actually, because when you're farther away, like here, it would be, it'd be like right in front of us, right? It's like there. But perhaps in this shot, it's a little closer to us. So it's kind of like the classic example of a car engine idling with the hood open. And if it's 10 meters away and you say, well, where's the sound coming from? It's like, it's over there, obviously, right? But as you walk closer to it, the sound source, closer and closer and closer, it'll widen up, because now that the width of the car is actually relevant to you a lot more than it was previously. So the width of the car widens up, and then pretty soon your head's like under the hood, and now it's just all around you. So it goes like, woof, now it's all around. So with this, same thing. It might be point source, and then like maybe like here, it's like center to left in the mix. Sorry, to right rather. Carrying on. Yeah, and then there you might have it even like the panning wouldn't just be like on screen. It would be both the stereo width like kind of pulling out as it flies away, potentially. So my feeling with the end, I think the ending is a bit weaker than the beginning actually, because it feels a bit samey to me. Let's just watch from the beginning again. Here we go. So there's this kind of underlying low mid, like it's like there-ish, and it's happening throughout. I can't quite get there with my own voice. It's right there. Got that? In fact, I can probably... Give me a second. I'm going to try and do something fun. Let's see here. I'm going to do this first. This is easier. Cool, thank you. And now over here, I've got this thing separated. Yeah, there it is. So the thing is, if I have listened to this, I can fully see it in my EQ. It's like right there. If I do like a bandpass, and I put like right here. Hear what I mean? It's kind of chilling in the same place. So because that low mid frequency is just chilling the entire time, it kind of calls attention to itself and says like, hey, this thing is not changing. But it is. Like it's clearly changing as the story moves forwards. You hearing that, Aaron? So you've got a lot of movement in the highs, but not in the lows. So I think that's kind of, that might also be leading to that feeling you have that it's not fitting the space. Because the idea is that this thing is moving. It's like, what's the first thing that happens here? It's like an arm, right? If I listen to only the highs in this thing, let's just try it right now. I have it right here. Oh, it's not on, sorry. But that sounds way more cohesive immediately because you only hear the high stuff and that's all kind of moving together. But because the low stuff isn't moving, the result is it feels like disconnected. Like the low stuff and the top stuff aren't the physical nature of what's happening in the story is not having effects on the lower frequencies as it probably should, in the same way it's having effects on the higher frequencies. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so the first thing is this arm. So it's also a thing with servos. Generally, things are pitched higher as they move faster. I'm not sure. The second part's a little more accurate, like woo, woo, woo. That makes more sense to me than the first part. Woo. I'm not sure why, like mechanically, what would it cause it to rise so high? You can kind of do like some hand wave, like, it's fine, it's sci-fi, whatever. And that's like usually okay. But I do, when I'm designing stuff like this, where there's like physical, visible elements, there's like pneumatics and stuff in this thing. There'd be like servos, and there seems like maybe some hydraulics of some kind. There's like wires and things. I try and think about, well, what are the actual physical materials at play here, and what sounds would they be making? Is the inside like ratcheting? Is there a servo, like a classic like zzz kind of thing going on, or like whatever, right? Is there like a at the end when it stops moving? Do you have like occasionally? So I'll kind of make up like rules for what things are going to sound like. The x is a big one. So like when things like finish like this, they go like and then to go down, or whatever. Like you make a choice that every time a thing extends, we're going to go like at the end, or like go when it goes down, or whatever. You just choose to like decide what's happening mechanically and like follow those rules all the time. So when you have the for the second part, I think that it kind of ignores the of the earlier part. Again, it's just maybe it makes more sense because if it's maybe it's based on location rather than speed. So oh, also check. Did I tell you last week, actually? I have a cool thing now where on my quartet, I can, so it's my Apogee quartet interface. It's just off camera here. I have, it's hard to explain, but I basically have like 2 buttons set up such that one of them, while active, as it is now, I can do things like record the audio from my PC to my Mac, and that's why I can do things like this, and like record that and play it back. While on C, it no longer does that. Instead, it only plays my PC and Mac discretely. That also means I have no delay or no extra delay, because when I'm going through my Mac side, it's like out my Apogee, out my quartet, into my my Steinberg interface, and then like out of that one into the speaker. So it's like double latency. So instead, I have single latency now. So now this is actually accurate to timing. I'm sorry, I was listening to it on double latency previously. Aaron, here we go. Yeah, like there, it starts moving kind of before you hear the. So would you have some kind of like something to say this thing's starting moving now? Like some kind of element? Because it clearly starts moving before you hear it. Right there. You know? So having some kind of like start and middle and end to that small story point of the arm, the claw, I guess, kind of pulling away. There's kind of a middle and well, kind of only a middle actually. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of only a middle. So you don't really have a start or an end, like a or something to start it off. I mean, even the brain being put in, we hear it like kind of like the gory stuff, but nothing in terms of like what the claw did to let go or anything. Does that make sense? It just sort of did it. And you can kind of see the claw move a bit behind the head, a little bit. See, it kind of pops back there. It wasn't saying it was like, and it pops back. So we don't really hear that. Here we go. So we're hearing a lot of the movement, but not much of kind of the in-betweens. And that again kind of leads to that like connective tissue thing I was talking about previously, right? And Richard brings up a good point. Also, the sound of the robot turning on is almost the same as the arm jamming the brain in. I wouldn't say it's almost the same, but because your arm is so based, so the previous part of this shot, like the ending shot, is so focused on the movement of this mechanical arm, the movement of the arm, in terms of audio, you've characterized through pitch curves, right? Like it's very that. So then when we have the final part happen, like it's really heavily based in pitch curves. And I think overall, you've kind of been leaning pretty hard on pitch curves for the design. Like there's a bit for the opening shot too, actually. There's a lot of pitch up and down. Which isn't inherently a bad thing. Like that's me. That's the entirety of Celeste, actually. I was like, that was the creative direction, to be honest, is things go, like there's tons of that in the game, tons. But there's also tons that doesn't. Like it's kind of, when you're like doing footsteps and stuff, it's not like on every single footstep. So with this, I think that with how much you're leaning on things, yeah, there probably needs to be a little more attention given to like what's in between too. And because the end is so heavily focused on the pitch curves, it's kind of all I heard. And I'll say, Richard, you're right. That the first time that I heard this, the very first time, I had the thought like, sounded samey at the end. And the reason was it's like, it's like a lot of that going on, right? So it's again kind of like so much of the middle of the story. Alex, get in there, man. You can do a patch, man. You have it. We released it. Oh, by the way, that's more news. This is why I prepare these things and don't start real talk at like 4:02. Like start booting up the stream at 4:02. By the way, the Celeste Chapter 9 farewell update is live. Hey, there it is. So you can go download the DLC and mess with the audio. All right. So the Fmod project is fully available to download with all music and sound content included, just under license. So you can't use it in your own projects, but you can use it for any educational purposes, for modding, for personal projects, for like educational anything. If you're like doing a school stuff, doing a class, doing mentoring, have a good time. Or if, of course, just teaching yourself, have a good time. There you go. So enjoy. In terms of what you can do to address the overuse of pitch curves, I don't think that pitch curves are inherently a bad thing, but there's other options. So, for example, I'm doing like a lot of like power on, power off stuff in Industries of Titan right now, and I kind of already have, but just in terms of like enabling things and disabling things, right? So naturally, like it's kind of the really obvious way to do it. And yeah, I'm running into the same problem, Aaron. It's like, well, everything can't just go so you can have things like okay, there's like a lot of things you could do, man. I'm just gonna rattle off like a few, okay? So one thing that I think you could benefit from in your design is on top of the here's the middle, here's the beginning, here's the middle, here's the end, giving equal attention to each of those parts, or at least some attention to each of those parts, that applies to every story point, as opposed to like just the whole thing on the whole. Is the whole like each separate story point, like the arm moving has like a beginning, a middle, and an end. The dude turning on is like a beginning, a middle, and end. Even like the skull, like breaking and pulling the brain out has like a beginning, middle, and end. This being that this ending section is so heavily focused in the middle, like the like that arm, like arguably only has middles. Sure, I'll go far enough back we can hear it. Like it's pretty heavily middle, and then this ending has like the kind of like the breaker flip to turn it on, and a bit of the. Sorry, I'll go a little further back. So this pulling away in the camera. Right there. So when the camera begins to zoom out, we have this, and then there's this moment during the zoom out where it kind of has, like Richard's saying, like the same thing happening. It's kind of the same thing, but what's really happening during that section is like powering. Because then arguably it's when like the same thing is happening twice. The audio is telling me the same thing is happening twice, or at least like it began to happen and then it got cut off and began again and finished. So with that, like you could do a lot of things there that aren't like the like a or like some like distant stuff happening. It could be any number of things where like there's mechanical things or sci-fi or like electrical or even like hydraulic or like whatever, right? You can kind of choose because it's so free form, like nothing's happening. There's this like movement here. Perhaps it's like these metal plates and stuff. When they kind of like move from this to here, there's like some shaking there and some movement in the actual Foley on the character. It's not just because it doesn't really mean anything. It's like maybe that'd be a good detail to have underneath, like, oh, the thing's powering on, but it's right now that's all there is. So it's only the power. And because it's all there is, that's why the pitch curve thing gets forced so much to the front. It's not that your pitch curves are inherently bad. It's that we're so focused on it because that's all there is, you know? And then again, we have the kind of panning thing going on here. Again, it's like all around us. But the thing that's powering on, like what is powering on? I mean, that's kind of, I don't know. I don't play Mortal Kombat. I don't know if this is like in part of the lore of the game or if it's very just sort of hand-wavy narrative stuff like in the distance that, you know, Frost is doing this thing, has a cyborg that's now brain in, is powered. It's all very dark stuff. If it's just like extra, you know, peppered in lore that isn't really expanded upon, then it's totally up to you, man. You can just decide, say, what's this room that we're in? Is it a massive facility? Is it like a single chamber? Is it like a pod in space? Like, I have no idea. So with this, if the sound's all around us, we can't, like, what we're seeing isn't really telling us that alone. We've got a thing in front of us that is now powered on and is very scary looking. But the sound is, again, like far left and right, right? Like very far left and right. So if it's in front of us, again, we get a little more kind of rooting. It's more grounded in the actual shot. But instead, and also an absence of reverb, it just makes it sound like it's a synth patch, like a as opposed to a thing that's like being emitted from a source. Yeah? Okay, and Alex says, processing stuff that already has pitch movement, animal/human vocals, etc., is one of my first places I start looking. Cool. Those servos are kind of tough to get away with with that stuff as layers. Yeah, I mean, I often, you're right, Alex. I'll sometimes like throw something on, you know, my keyboard and then like ride the pitch wheel. I'll like set my pitch wheel to be like, you know, an octave and a half or something like that, and like go crazy with it. And that might add a little more like humanity to it too, Aaron, as opposed to like is like very kind of like it's a computer curve. But if like you actually have some movement, like, it has a little more like character and interest, a little more organic than just like a yeah. Okay, back to the beginning. Let's do a little more on this thing, and we'll move on to Victor's stuff. So same thing there. All around us. It's okay if magic-y things are a bit larger than life, but they should definitely be focused right in front of you, like where the sound source is coming from, with some extra like kind of flavor as stereo. But again, this feels to me a little bit like it's synthy and isn't in the space. It's very, very dry. You'd have things like that, like the movement of the arms, like a small, like, you know, Foley style whoosh, or like some armor movement, or even something that's a little more cinematic, like a whoosh, just to have it help in there. But instead, we just have just starts, right? Yeah, and the same note with the frequency stuff there, man. Like there's like this happening as the ice is freezing. Kind of there. It's again, this is a really dry up and down. And it's kind of, it's not really based in the shot. It's really dry. And again, it sounds a bit like a synthy kind of patch as opposed to being coming from an object. I recall reading in your article you were trying to like get the cyborg thing across. I think that's a worthwhile endeavor, but keeping in mind that cyborgs are still like in part organic. Am I right about that? I think that's true. So it shouldn't be, it probably doesn't need to only be like the mechanical part or like the, there can still be like the the kind of individuals Foley and stuff built into that too, with the kind of being emitted from, you know, beneath the surface. And even there, like the but then there's no sound for like this arm moving. So where's the if we're to believe that that is the right arm, like recoiling and following through, then the left arm coming forwards should certainly have some sound, right? And the pull is kind of, again, very like it's happening now. So I would argue that's kind of like the middle of the sound. There's no like, there's some like, you know, getting ready to pull it. You see it moves? There's like the grip and then like I'll slow it way down. It's like whoop, move in, grip, and then down and back up again. So it's not just like move in, grab, and bang, it's gone. There's more detail and nuance to it than that, and that's kind of where you can level up your sound like a big, a very big amount, because like you've got the design content of like the middle bits is fine. Like there's nothing like terrible about it, you know. It's not like amazing, but it's fine. So if you start filling those blanks in between, you're gonna notice a big difference, I think. Yeah, cool. One last thing I'll say here actually is that in terms of the mix, it's another reason it sounds kind of samey is that the loudness from point to point is pretty the same, and it seems like regardless of what thing is making the sound, it's like pretty loud. And arguably it's Mortal Kombat, so it's like everything is turned up to 11, and all these things are ridiculous, and everything is like way like zoomed in front and center. So sure, but for example, this claw, I think there's room for it to come down on the going away part, because it's no longer important. Like it did its job. We saw the claw grab the brain, it comes up, and it's like, thanks lady, and then goes away, and it's like into the shot. Oh, it's that drone again. And then it's like into the head. So that's all important, sure. But then once it's done its job, like this thing is no longer important anymore. Look, this like how big this is in a frame. Like this thing, if this is the first time you're ever seeing this clip, then you're like, whoa, what is this thing now, right? So this claw is just like not your attention anymore. It's not the focus of the story. So instead, we move a bit ahead, and now it's like, oh my God, this thing's huge. Oh my God, what is this? Crazy, what's happening? Oh my God, it's coming alive. So that's the important part. But listen to your claw's loudness comparing the in to the out, okay? Let's go. It's pretty much the same. Like there's maybe a little quieter on the out, but not by a lot. Like it's, and even when it's out of the shot, it's like it's making sound even off screen still. You see that? Just focus in on the when it's gone. Like half of that sound duration is out of the scene. So there's totally room to change your sound design focus from this thing moving to what's happening here now. You did design this like back flap dropping down and stuff, but there's totally more room than that for this design. This is the main event, and we barely hear it. Like that's the next story point. This thing flops down, you know, marking the beginning of this thing powering on, right? Okay, that's enough of that one. So yeah, man, just keep in mind, make sure your lows and highs are pitching similarly, and yeah, try your best to root the sounds in the scene, like coming from a thing, be that in terms of EQing based on distance, based on like materials, if it's like behind metal or something. You can do the panning thing we were talking about, like be aware of your stereo fields and your stereo width. Mix more according to what the focus of the story actually is in that point in time. That's a pretty egregious one. Like this thing can definitely come way down on the out and have the focus turn to here. And yeah, just start to design more nuance in between the big moments. But straight up, like this is a pretty strong go for like your first redesign in terms of like adding more action to your reels. So good on you, man. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Okay, moving on to Victor. And of course, Aaron, I mean, you know this, man, but I mean, if you want any more feedback or any more clarification, hit me up and I'll try to find time. And then I'll promptly forget to tell you, and then I will be reminded by you again. I'll do it. Okay, just that goes for everyone. If you hit me up and I don't reply right away, and I'm just busy, I'm not trying to avoid you. Okay. If it gets to the point where I'm trying to avoid you, I will tell you. All right. Okay. Victor Sequeira. I don't think it's Sequeira. Probably Sequeira or something like that. Audio engineer and sound. Oh, it's just all text. It's all spaces. Sound designer. Okay. Here's the full view, by the way. Here's 100%. The animating thing at the top is kind of cool, but what is that? Is that like... It looks like a... Is this an espresso machine? Is it like a cafe? I think it's cafe. That's my guess. Some people in line for a coffee here. Maybe it's Taps or a pub. You think it's a pub, says Richard. Is it Taps? It might be Taps. There's like some stuff here too. I don't know what this is. Bottom line, I can't tell what it is, but it doesn't look like it's audio relevant to me. So I'm curious what that even is. Reel. Also, the page is called Reel up top. And we have the classic. Is this Wix? Yeah, the favicon. Reel. It's very generic. Portfolio. Films/animations, sound recording, editing, and mixing. Dota 2 trailer, sound redesign, bong hits and broomsticks. Okay. TV ads, voice recording/acting. Colgate Slimsoft, Nokia Lumia. Games, assets, and soundtrack creation. 2 spaces. Implementation. VFS game. Oh, it is VFS. I was right, Vancouver. Sorry, VFS game design, Shroud, and Fruit Punch. Okay. We'll have a look at that. Music recording and mixing. Some things. Okay, great. And about. And contact. What's going on with the thing like shifting each page? You seen that? It's like, boop. And then here, the text, boop. Something's happening there. Sure, Taco Bowl's in the case. Good to see you, pal, by the way. No sweat on being late. No one minds. Okay. Indicates required field. Okay. I'm always kind of curious when people have like their email plainly visible and then they also have a contact form. This feels kind of like redundancy. No? Maybe it's just me. So, sorry, about. I feel weird how the text like goes in and out as you go to each page. I don't know about that. Okay, Victor, here is a little bit about myself and my work. I am a graduated audio engineer and sound designer, spent most of the past 7 years studying and working with audio in all its forms in North America, South America, and Europe. Extremely passionate about what I do, I put in extra time and effort for the sake of quality and creativity in every project I work on. Oh, no period. No period. Knowledge in several different areas of audio, including soundtracks and composing, and able to work with any non-visual media, linear and non-linear. What? If your project needs any sort of audio treatment, be it recording, editing, mixing, implementation, or restoration, this would be O, not AU, I can help you. Okay. This is a pretty... It's a little bit rough, the bio. So I'm a big fan of of 2 things for bios. Of trimming the fat and saying things that are unique to you specifically, as opposed to things that could be on like my bio or anyone's. So, for example, like here is a bit about me and my work. I mean, we just click the about thing. So this doesn't need to be here, or it could be like a title or something, although your pages don't have titles, so that can just go entirely. I am a grad of this. Okay, sure. And spent most of the past 7 years studying and working with audio. Okay, sure. So I've been over like North America, South America, and Europe. That's cool. Saying you're a recent... Is this recent? I assume it's recent, given your page. I have mixed feelings about saying I'm a student or I'm a recent student. I think at this point, you can just say that you are... If you spent 7 years working in audio in all its forms, you don't need to say you're a student right now, you know? This is VFS. There you go. What's up, Goblin Cave? What up? Yeah, I think that in general, it's like people saying I'm aspiring. I'm an aspiring composer. Like, dude, you're a composer. It's fine. You don't need to say you're aspiring anymore. If you've never written music, but you one day want to, then yes, you're aspiring. But if you've written anything, then you are a composer. It's fine. And in this case, if you're already out the scene at VFS, just say you are this. Okay? Extremely passionate about what I do. I put in extra time and effort for the sake of quality and creativity in every project I work on. Like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of everyone. Knowledge in several different areas of audio. It kind of moves from full sentences into bullet points also, by the way. Like, I have knowledge in several different areas of audio, including soundtracks and composing. Okay? And I'm able to work with any, so here, non-visual media, linear and nonlinear. Do you mean visual and non-visual media? Like, I'm not sure what this means. A little help in the chat. Does anyone know what... should zoom in more, I guess. Still pretty small on screen. There you go. Still pretty unclear to me. Like, what's this mean? I'm able to work with any non-visual media. I think this is like slash. You know, like visual slash non-visual media. Linear and non-linear. I don't know. If your project needs any sort of audio treatment, I can help you. It's, again, a little bit of this is everyone too. So I would like to know more about you, Victor. Like, what makes you, you know? So let's carry forth to, I guess, the reel. There's not much going on this page. We got reel and portfolio and about. Let's go reel. Audio engineer and sound designer. Great. Oh, we'll shift on the top. That's fun. One thing actually I did want to mention. Let me just see if I can bring it up right now. One hot second. So if I go to, what is it again? It's V. Yeah, the main page on mobile. Okay, you must change it then. So, yeah, previously when I brought it up, this text was black, actually. So it made it really hard to read. But it's fixed. So thanks, Victor. And yes, restoration with an O. I did mention that, Alex. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, Victor, I think it's safe to say that English is not your first language. If you've been all around and your name is this, I'm making that assumption. I might be wrong, but... this reads a bit like it's not your first language. So a little more lenient, but, you know, worth getting those mistakes dealt with, that period missing and that restoration typo. Let's go with this thing. Whoa, we're just into it. Okay. It's how long? Can we see? 3:26. Okay, this thing's a beast. So, as always, I am going to be... What is this player, too? It's like a dot appearing here and stuff. And it's like 0, 0, but you can see the bar. And it's non-centered. What's happening? What is this player? Also, it's demo reel 2019 44.mp4. Okay. As always, I will be watching through and doing my best to emulate when I... What is going on here? What the heck? Jeez. Oh, man. Is this like the Wix player or something? This is a little bit rough. Okay, so I was saying for Real Talk, we generally watch the whole reel. But as this stream's purpose is to emulate what someone's reaction might be, seeing your content, going in blind, having never seen anything before, in an effort to emulate that accurately, if I get to a point where I've lost interest, or I want to close the window, or I want to skip forwards, I will pause and I will let you know what I'm feeling, and then we will carry on and watch all of it, probably, and come back and talk about why we may have had that reaction. For a 3-minute video at your position in your career, your progress so far, I kind of assume I won't want to watch all of this, but I've been surprised before, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go play, and I'm going to go full screen afterwards because it seems like it's kind of sketchy.
So they played whatever they wanted. Many people didn't understand, but I liked it. My favorite was this radio show called
我是兰姐。
But it wasn't just any rock
Okay,
and
so
roll.
immediately,
It was
oh man,
heavy.
this pause button's nuts. I don't know how far over I can see on this progress bar. Immediately, I am. Oh, my very first thought was, is this a film reel? And it seems like it might be. And as of 20 seconds, I was like, okay. So I want to start skipping forwards. I can't even see. There's no like preview thumbnail as I use this progress bar. So this thing's at high risk of me skipping over some content. Let's watch all of it though. Let's go.
Psychedelic and anti-war. The kind of music the government didn't approve of. It was music for the hippies that would make kids say,
In a God of freedom.
Often I am asked, what does a hero truly need? Much depends upon the hero. Would you be swift? Then for you, I have speed beyond measure.
Whoa. That's surprising. Yeah, we'll get to that Taco Bowl.
I need you to hurry up. Turn around. You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way.
Whoa. Okay, Victor. Wait. This is gonna be challenging to zoom way in to make this easier to deal with this reel because it's really not very friendly.
They played whatever they wanted.
So like there's best probably.
Many people didn't understand.
Is that good enough for stream?
But I-
Probably, yeah. Okay. As opposed to full screen. Sorry, I can't go full screen. It's not going to be easy. So, as I mentioned, this is... I lost interest at like 15 seconds-ish. Because, well, two things. A, I don't know what you want to be doing if you want to do game stuff. This is funny too. Because this is a one long text line and not two separate things that are placed on the page, you get this happening. So yeah, let's glance across our criteria for a second here. We'll do a real quick blast through. So presentation wise, pretty basic page. Oh, it's a mobile mode now too. Yeah, it seems like kind of buggy and stuff. It's like things shifting around. But I guess it's template, obviously. So it's pretty templatey. I don't know what this background is. The pages are like portfolio probably has a little more in terms of like what they are. But is this different than what we just saw? Oh, it's like a minute and a half. Okay, so this actually is. Oh no, it isn't. This is the entire thing.
Side. What does a hero truly...
I honestly can't even recall if we saw all this. I will be honest and say I glazed over a bit. Bong hits and broomsticks. We didn't do this though, right? It's not loading. Man, this is brutal. Please embed YouTube or something, man. This is hard. Because my inclination is just like to walk away from this. Oh, there it is.
Me.
That's one hot little.
So yeah, more film stuff. So TV ads is more linear stuff. This is now assets, games, assets, and Fruit Punch. But Fruit Punch was not in your reel, I don't think. Yeah, it's student project. And then Shroud is... But again, it's a linear trailer, I guess. I just don't know what you've done, man. I have no idea. It says that you did some assets and soundtrack creation. But like, did you do all of this? Yeah, you got to be way clear with what your role was on these things. Way clear. Let's go back to the reel. So in terms of the reel it goes, presentation-wise, it's real long. It should be no more than a minute at your state in your career.
So they played
No more than a
whatever they
minute. And it should be focused in terms of the work you want to be getting. And this is very film, and then some game, and then like some interactive music and wise at the end, which suggests an interest in getting into games, but smacks of school project. So also it says, as appointed audio director, appointed says student for sure, right? No one's appointing that. Student projects are fine to have on your reel, but it's not enough if you have only student stuff. The thing is, you're making no there's no like additional communication of your interest in doing these things, because when you're in school, yeah, you do projects and stuff, but you're paying to be there and you kind of have to do your work. So I'm much more interested as a potential hirer, like anybody who's looking to hire is probably much more interested in what you're doing of your own accord. So seeing like Aaron, I showed last, just before you, Aaron did that whole article. That speaks very highly of Aaron's interest in and seriousness in terms of the industry. Even though I kind of tore into him in terms of the quality of the content, I'm still like really impressed because he put all that thought into it, and he's like making very clear and like demonstrable strides in his own personal development. That's very clear. when you have only student projects, there's no indication of that whatsoever. It doesn't show like that you're putting the time in, you know? So while sure they can be fine, it just you kind of need more. Okay, so Blue Jet. Sure.
It was music, but it wasn't just any rock and roll.
Here's
It
a
was
question.
heavy, psychedelic.
Is this my fault? The left-right panning? I did have to pull a cable out recently.
Anti-war. The kind of music the government didn't approve of. It was music.
Because it goes like hard left, right? Is that my fault? It might be my fault. Let's test. Let's put the applause at hard left. Is it playing at left? Oh, hell no. My bad. So I can't tear into you and say that the panning is wrong. I'm sure glad I didn't tear into Aaron for having incorrect panning directions. I'll fix that later. It's fine. Don't worry. Sorry, everyone. So, okay. Actually, I'm curious. Is it correct for you? That might narrow down like where the problem is. Is that right or left for you? This is it right? I suspect. One of these cables somewhere is wrong. There's a lot of cables in this setup. Oh, sigh. It's all right. I'll fix it. So, cool. Moving on.
Music for the hippies. That would make you say,
So, like, sure. What'd you do, man? We have this clip. It says Victor sound design. So, did you do sound for this clip? Did you do editing? Did you design? Did you do mixing? Did you do like sourcing? Are you the voice of the person speaking right now? Did you write Inagata Devita? Like,
the kind of music the government.
it's just not
didn't
clear at all
approve
what you
of.
did. So you gotta have some kind of titling here saying, okay, sorry, sidechain back on. There, sidechain back on. Now it works. There we go. You need something else there to say. Here's what my role was. Okay, you need it. Tasteless, or was there? Did I just miss it entirely?
I liked ever. Just read.
This
is Blue Jet. The fact that I'm searching right now is a problem also. There was a title on the second one, though. Briefly. Tasteless. Keep this title up the entire time. Re-recording mixer, sound designer. What is this? Is this a film piece that you were contracted to work on? Is it a student project? I don't think there's a title for the first one, though. There it is. Oh my god, it's like 20 seconds into the clip. The Blue Jet. Okay, re-recording mixer, sound designer, SFX editor. I'll also move this stuff up because it's bumping into the UI content. Sure. Okay, this should be up way earlier and also be up the entire time, so people don't need to search for it if you want to include this in your reel at all. I don't know what Tasteless is, but I guess it's a little clip of some kind. Moving on. This thing also under pressure. I don't know what this is. And on your portfolio page, open a new tab. I don't think you've said what they are. No, you have not. And in fact, they aren't even here. So the stuff that's in your reel isn't even on your portfolio page, man. Like, what's going on? So only the Dota 2 trailers here, I think, and nothing else. Man, Victor, what's going on, man? You've got like 8 things on your portfolio page, and only one of them is in your reel. It's very strange. Think of your reel as like, this might be all they watch. So if this is all I watch, I'm like, well, I guess he's a film guy, moving on. And then you just don't look at the portfolio. Portfolios are typically an elaboration on your reel content and not like an extension of it. Okay? Or like additional content. It's like this is taking the content in your reel and saying, oh, there's more though. Here's like my role. Here are the challenges I faced. Here's like a link to the Steam store page of the thing I worked on or whatever, right? But yeah, it's just not here. And this clip goes to... Okay, it does fade out earlier on. The last clip, Wise interactive music stuff. Yeah, sure. Okay. audio director composer, like echoes. Saying you're audio director also on something is a little bit overstepping, perhaps, even though you were, I assume this is a student project. Is that what it said? I missed the text. Also, I way prefer when people are speaking to me about this stuff and not, I can't even read it. Look at see, this is a problem. Look at that. There we go. So was this a student project? I'm assuming it was, man. I don't know what this is. So again, even though it's like wise, which is a good thing, the fact it's wise is kind of like the positive aspects of the fact that it's wise, and it shows your, I mean, maybe implies that you have interest in implementation. The fact that I have no idea what this thing is kind of negates that positive aspect of it. So I just need more information. Yeah, so this is really unfortunate. Like this reel is kind of, it's very long, and I can say with confidence that no one's gonna get through this thing, like straight up. It's a bit scattered in terms of the content. It's got film and some game stuff kind of here. It's like a Dota redesign, which suggests to me you want to work in games, because in general people redesign things that reflect their ambitions. So if you want to work on Forza, you'd redesign a Forza trailer, sure. But with this, you've got all this film content and like this wise thing at the end, and I just have no idea what you want to be working on, man. My best guess is this thing, like AAA audio, but that's only a guess. And ideally, it would be much clearer. Let's look at the portfolio, because there's things in here that are apparently very different than on the reel. So we have the trailer. We watched that. Bong Hits Broomsticks is episode 1. So I guess you did like work on this thing. I just need more information. Like, what is this thing? What do you do? TV ads. Again, it's linear stuff. It's commercials. If you want to work in games, I would focus on game stuff. Assets and soundtrack creation / implementation. Let's watch these ones. Yeah, VFS in the title. This is quiet. It's not my fault. I don't think. Is it my fault? Oh, hello. It's not my fault. Whoa. What is happening with this UI, please? Jeez, that's a rough video. The ending too. Oh my goodness. This is... Was this like made for the class? Or is this something you made for your reel? Like for your portfolio? Again, just no idea. It's hard to give feedback when I don't know what this thing is. Fruit Punch. Oh, again, it's not in game. It's in the trailer. Man. Show me the stuff in game, man. Yeah, like this is so... It's just so devoid of like in-game content. So I just have no idea if you have interesting games. If you, I mean, you come into Real Talk, you know who Power Up Audio is, so I assume you have some interesting games. But it's just pretty... Okay, so VFS lets the game students pitch their games to the sound students. I would suspect it's one of those. Okay, so did they do... I mean, it says right here, implementation. But there's no demonstration of that in these clips whatsoever. Unless, like, this is a... Or... there's more. Let's watch the whole thing. Perhaps I'm being premature. Skipping ahead. The fruits are in charge. Okay, let's go. The apple. It's cute. Okay, there's no sound, man. Like, yeah, you have a lot of work to do, Victor. I don't want to. I hope I'm not coming across as like rude or mean. It's not my intention. This is, if you are serious about working in games, there's a lot of work to be done here. A whole lot. Yeah. It's just not relevant to what someone like me as a hirer would want to be watching, unfortunately. Benny Mari, what's up, buddy? Speaking of, when it comes to Reels, would you recommend a 50-50 split of in-game content versus linear? Well, I mean, I don't know. There's like a hard and fast rule as far as like what the ratio should be. I think if you're basically at a point, what you want to be doing is having enough content that reflects your skill sets and what you want to be doing and how that would apply to what that studio might, you know, what they might value in a hire, right? So, excuse me. So having like all linear would usually lead to a company like that being like, well, okay, but what else you got? And having all implementation, I don't know that's really a bad thing, but I think having some linear in that respect would be like, hey, and here's here's my idea of what a scene might sound like, you know, when all the shackles of like in-game real-time implementation have been removed. I think that's valuable. But if it was like a 90-10 split implementation to linear, I think that's still a pretty damn strong reel. If it was like, here's my 4 games I've done full implementation for, and here's like this one cutscene I did for fun, I'd be like, sweet, let's see it. I wouldn't be like, oh, but where's the rest? I think that's probably fine. Because like in-game stuff is the bulk, right? If you think of a game, let's think of a studio like Naughty Dog, right? If you have Uncharted 4 as the kind of game you want to work on, and you have done implementation pieces enough that it shows like, hey, look, I'm doing it. I'm in game. Here's my stuff in game. It sounds sweet, right? If you think of the game like a game like Uncharted, what ratio of workload is there for that project of implemented content versus linear content? Counting all marketing materials, counting cutscenes, everything. It's not going to be 50-50, right? So I think having like more implementation and some linear is probably fine. I mean, it reflects the workload involved in a given project, you know? Okay, whereas this is like, there is almost no implementation. There's something that resembles implementation on the front reel, and that's kind of it. So yeah, Victor, like if you're unclear on what else you can do, I would recommend you just watch more like back episodes of Real Talk, because we go over a lot of the kind of the basics like that as far as what more you can do to better communicate why you would be a great hire for a given company, because that's the role of that's the purpose of your website and of your demo reel, your portfolio. You are trying to communicate your assets and what benefit you could bring to a project if you were to be hired. So if I just don't know what you've done or what your skill sets actually resemble, then you represent to me a risk, because if somebody else shows me in very clear terms what their skill sets are and what they can bring to the table, and you're the same, like let's say you are as good as that person, I'm going to hire that person instead of you, because I just know they're a lower risk to me. I know what they can do. Maybe you can do those things, but you haven't yet communicated to me that you can do them. So of course I'm going to hire the one that's a sure bet, right? So that's a big thing. Okay, thanks a lot, pal. Yeah, just watch more stuff and do more your own projects, and I would love to see more once you have perhaps addressed some of those things. All right. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. I'm going to get back to work. Here we go. Here's some more FM84 for you. Let's go. Man, Arcade Summer. Let's go. Good track. I have the vinyl downstairs. The vinyl is so good. So sun-drenched. I love it. Okay, so if anyone else wants to submit, of course, feel free to down below via Twitter, via my handle, Reggie McKay, or via our company's handle, Power Up Audio. We'd love to see it. And if you're on Twitter, then the inquiry form on our website works too. Okay. So thanks a lot, and I guess I will see you all next week. Thank you as always for hanging out and clapping and giving your own feedback. All right, cheers.